My, male, 32, parents are telling family members I'm the father of my sister's, female, 26, baby because I won't give her my house. I don't even know where to start with this clusterfuck. I guess I should give some background. I, male, 32, bought my house about 4 years ago after busting my ass since college. I worked multiple jobs, lived with 3 roommates in a tiny apartment that honestly should have been condemned, and saved every penny I could. It's nothing fancy, just a modest 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. But it's mine, and I'm really proud of it. Like, coming from my family, this was a huge deal because financial responsibility was never really a thing my parents valued or taught us. My parents, Howard, male, 58, and Paula, female, 56, have always been terrible with money. Like, they make decent income but somehow are always broke because they spend impulsively and never plan ahead. But they always manage to find money when my younger sister, Natasha, female, 26, needs bailing out, which is like constantly. I'm not exaggerating when I say this has been happening since we were kids. Just to give you an idea, they paid for her car repairs after she totaled her first car drag racing with her friends. She was fine, thankfully. They've covered her rent multiple times when she quit jobs without having new ones lined up because she didn't like the vibe or whatever. They paid off a credit card she maxed out on clothes and concert tickets. Oh, and twice they covered her portion of apartment rent when she spent her money on weekend trips instead. And those are just the ones I know about. I'm sure there's more. I've always had a kind of strained relationship with my parents. I was labeled the responsible, boring one who didn't need attention, while Natasha was the free spirit who required constant rescuing. I mean, I'm not bitter about it or anything. Okay, maybe a little. Actually, no, I am bitter about it. It sucked growing up feeling like an afterthought. Oh, and I don't think my parents are terrible people or anything. They just have always had this weird blind spot when it comes to my sister. Like, they never wanted her to face any consequences for anything. But I guess they're actually capable of being terrible people, as you'll see. Side note, they actually forgot my college graduation because Natasha had a minor fender bender that same day. I told myself it wasn't favoritism at the time, but looking back, yeah, it definitely was. Whatever. I'm over it. Mostly. I mean, I'm clearly not over it since I'm mentioning it, but you know what I mean. Anyway, about a month ago, Natasha announced she was pregnant. The father was her boyfriend Matt, male, 27, who apparently took off as soon as she told him about the baby. And look, despite our complicated relationship, I felt genuinely sorry for her. I even offered to help her look for affordable housing options since her current place is a studio apartment with roommates that wouldn't work with a baby. I'm not a monster. She's still my sister. So my parents initially approached me about letting Natasha temporarily move into my spare bedroom, just until she gets back on her feet. I was actually considering it, even though I had reservations about my sister's reliability. I mean, her definition of temporary and mine are probably very different, but she is family and she is in a tough spot. And it seemed like a reasonable request at the time. But then things got weird, like Twilight Zone weird. Last Sunday, my parents showed up at my house completely unannounced. I thought it was just a casual visit, so I made coffee and we sat in the living room. My mom kept making these comments about how nice and spacious my house is for just one person, which should have been my first clue something was up. Looking back, there were so many red flags, but I didn't see them because who expects their parents to do what they did? Then my dad just bluntly says Natasha needs more than just a bedroom for her and the baby. I asked what exactly they were suggesting, and my mom goes on about how Natasha deserves stability and security that I don't really need since I'm just one person. Again with that. The whole time they're talking, I'm getting this weird feeling in my stomach. And then, I swear to God, my dad suggested I should either give Natasha my house or add her to the deed with majority ownership. Like, not as a joke, completely serious. With a straight face, like he was asking me to pass the salt or something totally normal. I actually laughed because I thought they had to be kidding. That's when my mom started crying. She always does this when she doesn't get her way, and saying I don't understand what family means. And my dad accused me of being selfish and always thinking only about yourself. I was so shocked I don't remember exactly what I said next. Something like the house is something I worked incredibly hard for, and while I'm willing to help Natasha, giving her my house is absolutely not an option. I think I tried to explain how unreasonable they were being, but they weren't listening at all. My mom literally got up and said, "After everything this family has done for you, this is how you repay us." What exactly has the family done for me? And my dad stood up and told me I'll regret being so heartless. Then they just left, just walked out while I sat there trying to process what the hell just happened. I couldn't believe it. I still can't. Like, in what universe is it reasonable to ask someone to give away their house? I even offered alternatives. I said I'd help Natasha find an affordable apartment. I'd contribute to her rent for a year. I'd even co-sign a lease if needed. But apparently that wasn't good enough. They wanted the whole damn house. Also, not that it matters, but I was actually passed over for a promotion at my engineering firm recently, and I still have significant student loan debt that, surprise, surprise, my parents never helped with. So it's not like I'm rolling in cash over here. I'm doing okay, but I'm not wealthy by any means. I want to be clear. I've always tried to maintain a good relationship with Natasha. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. I've kind of minimized contact with her over the years to avoid getting pulled into her constant problems. So I guess we're not that close anymore. But I don't hate her or anything. That probably sounds contradictory, but it's complicated. Family always is, right? Anyway, I thought that was the end of it. Weird entitled request. I said no. Everyone moves on. But then yesterday, my cousin David called me. He sounded really uncomfortable, asking weird questions about my relationship with Natasha. At first, I had no idea what he was getting at, but as the conversation went on, I realized something was seriously wrong. He was like dancing around whatever he wanted to say, asking if Natasha and I had always been close and if we'd ever crossed boundaries. And I was like, what the frick are you talking about? Finally, he just came out with it. Guys, my parents have been telling our extended family members that I am the father of Natasha's baby. Yes, you read that right. My own parents are spreading rumors that I got my sister pregnant, which is why they think I owe her my house. I cannot even begin to express how horrified and disgusted I am. When David told me this, I literally felt sick to my stomach. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped my phone. I immediately called a few other family members who awkwardly confirmed they'd heard the same rumor. Some even admitted they partially believed it, because why else would your parents be saying this? Because they're insane, maybe. I've tried calling Natasha multiple times, but she's not answering. I don't even know if she knows what our parents are saying. Part of me wonders if she's in on it, but I really hope not. That would be beyond fucked up. I'm completely devastated. These are my parents. How could they spread such a disgusting lie about their own children? And this isn't just family issues. This kind of accusation could seriously affect my job and standing in our community, which isn't that big and where lots of people know my family. Like yesterday, I thought I saw a coworker giving me a weird look in the hallway, and now I'm paranoid the rumors have spread beyond family. I honestly don't know what to do. I'm thinking about confronting my parents directly, but I'm so angry I don't trust myself to handle it well. I might say or do something I regret. Should I talk to Natasha first? Should I send a mass email to my family explaining this is all a lie? Should I get a lawyer? This feels like actual defamation. Sorry this was so long and all over the place. I'm still in shock and can barely think straight. Any advice would be appreciated because I am completely lost here. Edit, a lot of people are asking if Natasha might be in on this. I honestly don't know. We're not super close, but I can't imagine she would agree to something this disgusting. Then again, she's always gone along with whatever our parents wanted. But this is on another level entirely. Edit 2. To clarify, no, I am absolutely not the father of my sister's baby. That's a disgusting lie my parents made up, apparently to pressure me into giving her my house. Matt is definitely the father. I've never had any kind of inappropriate relationship with my sister, and I'm disgusted I even have to say this. Now for the first update. Wow, I honestly didn't expect so many people to respond to my last post. Thank you all for the support and advice. I was literally shaking reading some of your comments because it made me feel like I wasn't crazy for being upset about this whole situation. The past few days have been a complete shit show. Is that word allowed here? Whatever. And I'm still processing everything. So after reading all your comments, I decided to confront my parents directly instead of just letting this rumor spread more. I know a lot of you said I should get a lawyer immediately, and don't worry, I did eventually. But I guess I still had this stupid hope that maybe there was some misunderstanding or something. Like maybe my cousin David had somehow gotten things twisted. I don't know. It sounds really naive now that I'm typing it out. Anyway, I called my parents and put them on speakerphone. I wanted to record the conversation just in case, which is legal in my state, by the way. My dad answered all casual, like nothing was wrong. I was already so mad, my hands were literally shaking as I held the phone. I didn't even bother with small talk. I just straight up asked why they were telling people I was the father of Natasha's baby. My mom gasped in the background, and my dad started stammering and denied saying that exactly. When I pressed them about what they meant by exactly, my mom jumped in saying they just implied I had special responsibility. I got really angry and demanded to know what that meant. They basically admitted they were doing whatever it took to help Natasha. They claimed if people assumed things, it wasn't their fault. When I pointed out they deliberately created those assumptions, my dad said sometimes family has to do difficult things for the greater good. My mom added that if I just helped like they asked, none of this would be necessary. I told them their behavior was disgusting and unforgivable. My dad said I'd understand when I had children of my own, which made me so mad I just hung up. I realized they actually felt justified in what they were doing. It wasn't a mistake or misunderstanding. They were deliberately spreading this rumor to manipulate me. And it turns out the rumors had spread way further than I thought. Like, I started noticing weird looks at work, and then my boss actually pulled me aside to ask if I needed personal leave to deal with family issues. He had this super uncomfortable expression the whole time and wouldn't make eye contact. I was so embarrassed I couldn't even explain. I just said everything was fine. There's this guy from my high school who works in accounting at my company now, and he used to always stop and chat when we passed in the hallway. Now he literally looks at the floor when he sees me coming. And I had been texting with this woman I met at my friend's barbecue a few weeks ago, and we were supposed to get coffee. But suddenly, she stopped responding to my messages after we'd been having really good conversations. I thought maybe she just wasn't interested anymore, but now I'm wondering if she somehow heard the rumors too. My town isn't that big, and people talk. I kept trying to reach Natasha for days, but she wasn't answering calls or texts from anyone. She's always done this thing where she completely disappears when she's stressed. Like when we were teenagers and she'd lock herself in her room for days after big arguments. So I was kind of used to this behavior, but it was still frustrating given the circumstances. I was starting to get worried she might actually be in on this whole thing with my parents, which I hate that I even considered. But honestly, with the way my family has been acting, nothing would surprise me anymore. Finally, I got a hold of her by going to her apartment after work and basically camping outside until she came home. When she saw me waiting there, she looked really surprised, but not like guilty or anything, just tired and stressed. When I told her what our parents had been saying, she was completely shocked. She immediately started crying and said she had no idea they were saying this. She offered to help clear my name and said she had text messages that proved Matt was the father. We went through her phone, and there were texts from months ago when she first found out she was pregnant. There were messages where she told me about finding out she was pregnant with Matt's baby, her being nervous about telling him, then later texts about him abandoning her when she told him. Then some texts about her being scared of being a single mom and me trying to be supportive as her brother. Reading those texts actually made me feel emotional because despite all our family issues, they showed that Natasha and I still had some trust and support between us. She had come to me with this huge news before she even told our parents. So anyway, things came to a head at our grandmother's 80th birthday party this past weekend. I wasn't even sure if I should go, but I decided I needed to confront this situation head on. I made sure I had screenshots of all those texts ready on my phone. When I got there, it was so awkward. Several relatives were giving me weird looks or avoiding me. My aunt actually made some comment about keeping things in the family with this weird smile, and I wanted to die right there. My cousin David looked super embarrassed and kept trying to change the subject whenever family stuff came up. My uncle pulled me aside and asked if the rumors were true. I told him absolutely not, and that I had proof. My parents showed up and immediately tried to steer me away from conversations. They kept trying to position themselves between me and other family members, like they were running interference. Natasha finally arrived, looking really nervous, but also determined. We had agreed beforehand that we needed to address this publicly to stop the rumors. I finally just stood up and announced I needed everyone's attention. My dad tried to interrupt, saying this wasn't the right time, but I ignored him. I explained that there were disgusting rumors being spread about me and Natasha that were completely false, and that my parents were the source of these rumors. My mom tried to claim I was being dramatic and misunderstanding things, but I just took out my tablet and started showing people the text messages, passing it around for everyone to see the timestamps and everything. Natasha confirmed publicly that Matt was definitely the father and our parents had been lying. Everyone was shocked. Some people looked disgusted at my parents. My dad tried to explain they were just trying to help Natasha, and my mom started crying, saying they were desperate to help their daughter. The best part was when my grandmother looked at them and told them they should leave. My parents actually tried to argue, but nobody was having it, and they finally left, looking completely embarrassed. After they left, the gathering was super awkward, but several family members came up to apologize to me for believing the rumors. My aunt gave me a big hug and said she never believed it for a second, though I'm not sure if that's true, but whatever. It was nice of her to say. Natasha and I ended up leaving together and went to get coffee and actually had our first real conversation in years. It was weird, but also kind of nice to reconnect, even though the circumstances were so messed up. We talked about all the manipulation and favoritism over the years and how it affected both of us in different ways. I've completely cut contact with my parents. I blocked their numbers and emails. I know some people might think that's extreme, but I don't think I can ever forgive them for this. They were willing to destroy my reputation and relationships just to get what they wanted. And I never wanted to damage their relationships with the rest of the family, honestly. But I'm not gonna lie, seeing everyone's reactions when they realized what my parents had done was pretty vindicating. I've been helping Natasha look for an affordable apartment near me. We found a decent 2-bedroom that's within her budget with a little help. I'm gonna help with the security deposit. She's actually been really appreciative and not entitled about it at all, which is a nice change. I think this whole situation has been a wake-up call for her too about our parents' toxic behavior. I don't know what the future holds for our family relationships, but I'm determined to support my sister and future niece or nephew, still feels weird to say that, while maintaining strict boundaries with my parents. I doubt things will ever be the same again, and honestly, maybe that's for the best. Edit. Thanks for all the awards and support. Didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Reading your comments has been really validating after years of questioning whether I was the unreasonable one in my family. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking if I'm going to pursue legal action against my parents. I've already talked to a lawyer who said I definitely have a case for defamation, especially since this has affected my professional reputation. Still deciding whether to go forward with it or not. It's a big step to sue your own parents, even after what they did. To those asking about paternity tests, Natasha is planning to get one done as soon as possible, mainly to establish Matt's paternity for child support purposes. She's also going to try to contact him again to let him know she has proof he's the father and he can't just run away from responsibility. Now for the second update. So it's been about 6 weeks since the whole blow-up at my grandmother's birthday party, which still feels like a fever dream, to be honest. And I figured I should give you guys one last update since so many of you have been supportive and sent messages asking how things are going. A lot has actually changed since my last post, like way more than I expected. Natasha and I have been talking almost daily, which is honestly weird because we've never been this close before. Even as kids, we weren't super tight. We've been having dinner together like twice a week, which still feels a little awkward sometimes, but in a good way if that makes sense. Like we're figuring out how to actually be siblings without our parents' toxic BS in the middle. I've been helping her get ready for the baby, which is coming in about 4 months. Last weekend, I spent like 5 hours trying to put together this crib she found on sale. Those instructions were definitely written by someone who hates humanity. I'm also going to be her support person for the childbirth classes, which starts next month. Never thought I'd be doing that, but here we are. Natasha has changed so much these past weeks. She started therapy, her idea, not mine, and enrolled in this medical coding program that would eventually let her work from home after the baby comes. She's actually making plans for her future, which I've literally never seen her do before. I think our parents always made her feel like she couldn't handle anything on her own, and she's finally breaking out of that. Sometimes I catch myself waiting for the other shoe to drop, though. Like when she canceled dinner last week, my first thought was, here we go, back to the old Natasha. But it turns out she just had a job interview that ran late. I guess I'm still carrying some of those old expectations, which isn't really fair to her. She keeps proving me wrong, which is awesome. The extended family has been surprisingly great through all this. My Aunt Faith especially has been checking in on both of us regularly. She even gave Natasha a bunch of baby stuff from her attic. Stroller, bassinet, all that stuff that costs a fortune new. A couple of my cousins told me that my parents were way more direct with their accusations than they admitted to me. They weren't just implying things, but actually saying it to people's faces. So their whole "people just misunderstood us" defense was complete BS. So anyway, the big thing that happened. Last weekend, my parents showed up at my house completely unannounced. I literally froze when I opened the door and saw them standing there. They looked terrible, like they hadn't been sleeping well. They asked for 5 minutes to talk, and I was so shocked I let them into the entryway, but didn't invite them further in. Mom started crying right away, saying they made a terrible mistake, and Dad said everyone in the family has basically cut them off. They said they never meant for things to go this far. I just stood there with my arms crossed, letting them talk. They told me they were desperate to help Natasha and weren't thinking clearly. I reminded them they were willing to ruin my reputation and relationships just to manipulate me. Dad admitted they got carried away but kept saying we're still family. Mom asked me to tell everyone I forgave them. They weren't really apologizing. They just wanted me to make their problem go away. When I asked if they'd apologized to Natasha yet, Dad said they were working up to that, and Mom said it was harder for them than I could imagine. I laughed at how self-centered they were still being. I told them some things can't be undone and that our relationship has permanently changed. I wasn't angry. I was actually really calm. I said I might be civil at family events, but nothing more. I set clear boundaries. No showing up unannounced, no contact except for emergencies, and no expecting anything beyond basic civility in group settings. It felt good to stand my ground. They seemed shocked I wasn't just going to forgive and forget. Mom went from crying to angry to begging in minutes, and Dad kept trying different approaches to change my mind. They finally left when they realized I wasn't budging. The next day was moving day for Natasha. Me and a couple cousins helped her move into her new apartment. While unpacking, she thanked me for being the first person in our family who actually believed she could stand on her own feet. It was a nice moment, even though it made me sad that no one had ever encouraged her independence before. We're still pursuing the legal stuff to establish Matt's paternity and get child support. He finally responded to the lawyer's letter, so that's progress, I guess. Natasha is handling it all really maturely, which is another sign of how much she's changed. I doubt I'll ever truly reconcile with my parents. What they did crossed a line that can't really be uncrossed. But this whole nightmare has given me a better relationship with my sister and a clearer understanding of my own boundaries. I still have complicated feelings about everything, but I know I made the right choice, standing up for myself. Anyway, that's probably my final update on this situation. Thanks again to everyone who commented and messaged support. It honestly helped more than you know.